It's Paul Marsh, and I'm delighted to say that I've been joined by Strictly Come Dancing star Kai Widdrington. Kai, how are you, sir?
I'm very, very well, Paul. All the better for speaking to you. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you for lying. It's always
I'll
appreciated.
stop it.
Now, you are about to go out on tour with your new show. Before we talk about that, if that's okay, I want to ask what it was like performing in front of the King for the 80th anniversary of the VE Day. I would imagine that was pretty special.
Honestly, it was one of the coolest things ever. I mean, I've been to Buckingham Palace before, but I've never actually seen the King in person. I've never actually seen him in person. So to be, doing my thing in my rhinestone tops and my Cuban heels, it was really, really cool. You could sort of see this sort of head of white hair sort of just in the distance in the royal box, and William and Kate were there, and the Queen was there. So yeah, it was really, really cool, and obviously an amazing honour, especially as being, a British lad, and just appreciating and reminding ourselves why we're in the position we're in today because of everyone that served before. So it's yeah, I think it's a special one. An 80th year. I mean, there was a guy there yesterday. I think he was 107 years old. He was actually sat next to the King. So yeah, it was a beautiful day. I met some amazing people backstage. I was speaking to David Bradley, the guy who plays Filch in Harry Potter, the caretaker in Harry Potter, and he was like, "Oh, I love you on Strictly, and I'm going to come and see your show." And like he told me he's already booked tickets, and so it was just really nice. We met, Larry Lamb, and so many lovely people around it, and it was all for an amazing day and an amazing celebration. So yeah, it was a very proud day to be British, definitely.
I can imagine the King's shoulders were shuffling and the feet were tapping away.
I've heard they're big Strictly fans, Paul.
There you go.
Strictly fans, yeah. Well, a little friend of mine called Angela Rippon knows them rather well, and she says, "Yes, the Queen rather likes watching Strictly Come Dancing." When me and Angela danced together, she saw the Queen consort briefly afterwards for something that she's connected with, where they're both they're both patrons of something together, and she said, "I thought you were rather cool." So that's quite cool.
I actually interviewed Angela probably, I want to say, a few months ago. I interviewed Angela and I asked her about it, and especially obviously doing Strictly at her age, and she said that it was something that she never could have imagined doing, but it was one of the best experiences of her life.
Yeah, it really does change people's lives. And for Angela, I think she sort of found her calling later in life. I mean, she's, there's no hiding it. She's 80 years old, and she was the oldest contestant ever. There's 51 years between myself and her, but we're like that. We're two peas in a pod. We speak most days, and we're trying to do our bit for the dance world. We're trying to, Angela's now got a dance day in her name, and now we're both trying to get dancing into schools. As part of the curriculum nationally. So it's, amongst obviously dancing on Strictly, we're trying to go the extra mile and do our little bit, and sort of, in quoted commas, leave our mark a little bit and do a bit of good. So yeah, she's one of a kind. There's no one like her. She is an absolute gem.
Well, Amanda makes people like myself look very, very bad because we're the type of people that sit on the sofa watching with a bag of crisp and a bottle of Coke and go, "Oh, they put a foot wrong there. They put a foot wrong."
I know. Listen, it's not easy. It's not easy being with a professional and doing it in front of cameras and all of that. But the celebs get a lot of stick. I mean, I always translate it to if I was to learn to sing. And if I had to sing in front of 10 million people, I would absolutely myself. I would be really, really.
News. How are you at reading the news?
Reading the news, no problem. I can read the news. I could do that. Yeah, Angela can teach me how to do that. I mean, you've got to just read the teleprompter, right? It's not too bad. But singing, I can always try and correlate it to as if I were to do that. Try and put myself in there.
So that's not a new avenue you're going to be taking then?
Not just yet. Maybe in the future. But maybe acting. We'll bridge our way in.
Well, before we get to the acting and the singing and everything else, let's put one foot in front of the other. Let's learn the next step, as it were, because you are heading out with your new tour, Kai Evolution. I know that you're in rehearsals right now. You must be really, really excited about this.
I really am, Paul. I really am. We're literally sort of just putting the final bits together now. We open on Wednesday in High Wycombe. And then we actually finish in Fareham on the 28th, which is it's an interesting one for me being a Southampton lad, and finishing in a theatre postcode.
We don't mention that. Shush, 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 shush.
No, but it's funnier because if people come, they can also completely rip the whatever because we've just been relegated. So it's absolutely fine. So much so that I actually take the mickey out of Southampton in my own show as a fan. So it's all the more reason for Portsmouth fans to come and watch the show.
I think the security and staff will be checking for tomatoes and bits and pieces as they walk in.
No, it's fine. I mean, Portsmouth is actually, football aside, Portsmouth is actually one of my favourite places. I used to go to Gunwolf Quay nearly every weekend with my mum and my dad, and we used to go for lunch there. And I learned I got my lifeguard's license down
at the Pyramids.
At the Pyramids, yes, exactly, at the Pyramids there, where the hovercraft used to be, and I did the Great South Run along that pier there, where Amazing. It was blowing a gale. Let me tell you, it was, and I didn't train for it. I forgot that I actually had to do the Great South Run that day, and I somehow managed 10 miles. So Portsmouth, again, football aside, Portsmouth holds a special place because I spent a lot of family time there, and my brother used to play for Portsmouth. He was there from the under 6s all the way to the under 18s. So he's actually a Portsmouth fan, believe it or not.
Well, at least one half of you is all right anyway.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, I was thinking about this the other day. So obviously I interview a lot of different people. I interview a lot of musicians. I interview a lot of comedians. Now, when they tour, they're at polar ends of the scale because when musicians tour, people want to hear their favourite songs. They want to hear the greatest hits, right? They're not really interested in the new album. They want to hear the stuff they know. But with comedians, it's the complete opposite. Nobody wants to hear the same jokes that they've heard all the time. Yeah. They want to hear the new stuff. Mm-hmm. When you go out on tour, where in that timeline do you sit? Have you got some favourites that you do, some favourite routines? Or is it all new stuff you're working on? Where does that sit?
Firstly, I want to say that is an amazing question. I really like that question, and it's really made me think. I think that I'm kind of down the middle because for what we do, it's something really traditional that has a lot of history and a lot of heritage, and people love two people dancing together in hold. That's what we saw Fred Astaire do. That's what we saw Gene Kelly do. That's what we saw, Anton and Erin do on the recent years of Strictly. That's why people fell in love with it. But now, as Strictly's evolving, we're modernizing it a touch. There's a younger audience, so they're liking the more modern stuff as well. So it's about finding the middle ground. I mean, we've got literally everything from Gene Kelly, Frank Sinatra, Bruno Mars, Ray Charles, to name a few, Michael Jackson. I mean, the list goes on. We've got there's something in it for everybody. I mean, I'm an old, as Angela would say, I'm an old soul on young shoulders. So I love the traditional stuff. I love the Fly Me to the Moons, the Gene Kellys, the Fred Astaire stuff. I love all that. But I also like pushing myself. And, if we did waltzes and foxtrots that were just a lovely tempo for 2 hours, everyone would fall asleep by the end. So we've got to have peaks and troughs. We've got to have our paso doble moments. We've got to have our tango moments. And we need our moments where it's a bit more emotional and a bit more chatty. And we have our funny moments. So to answer your question, Paul, I think we're kind of right down the middle. We've got a bit in it for everyone. What I can tell you is one of my cast members wore a fitness watch yesterday, and we ran the show for the first time. And he did 999 calories by the end of the show.
Wow.
So that's how much we're dancing. So we're really putting everything into it. We're putting our bodies through it, but because we love it. We love to dance, and we wouldn't change it for the world. So myself included, and of course my cast as well, we're very, very excited for people to see it.
When you're at the level that you're at now, do you ever see anything that surprises you or gives you inspiration or anything else like that?
There's always people inspiring me. I mean, obviously, you look to the greats of the past. I mean, Michael Jackson had an amazing quote that was, "Study the greats and become greater." And I don't know if I'll do that, but I'm going to do my damned hardest to try and do that if I can. You've got I actually share a birthday with Gene Kelly, which is a good omen, I guess.
That's not bad.
It's pretty cool. It could be worse. But yeah, I mean, I look to modern people like Bruno Mars as a massive inspiration to me, musically, dance-wise, performance-wise. Michael Bublé, all the Michaels, and it's this constant. Sometimes, I mean, there's no hiding. Some absolute trash gets thrown out there these days musically. I'm not ashamed to say that. But you've got some amazing music that comes through every now and again.
Yeah.
You have, your Beyoncés that come through, or your Lady Gagas that come through, or Lewis Capaldi's, or people, Adele. You have these amazing artists that come through, and you think, oh wow, what? And you initially think as a dancer, what can I dance to that? How can I express that through my body? So we're very fortunate in the sense that we need music to dance. So we just sort of wait for the artist to create the music, and then we'll do a bit of dancing to it.
Tell us about, obviously you are the name, you are the head of the show, but tell us about some of the other dancers, and I know you got a fantastic production team as well.
Yeah, we've got some amazing dancers. We've got 3 of the guys who are actually on the Irish version of Strictly Come Dancing, called Dancing with the Stars. We've got 2 of the guys, Luke and Grace, who have done choreography on Strictly. They're our dance captains, and we have an amazing director and choreographer, Scott Coldwell. And we've got an amazing team around it. And we're just basically, we got today and tomorrow is our last day in this room, in the rehearsal room, and then we go to the theatre to do tech rehearsals Monday, Tuesday, and then we open on Wednesday. So we've got like some of the guys I've known since I was 9. I used to compete against them when I was growing up. So it's quite a nice rounded moment where we get to actually be on the stage, not competing against each other, dancing on the same team, and for a really good, for hopefully a good show.
It's quite funny that obviously Ferrum is the last show on Saturday the 28th, because I always think of shows like this a little bit like Panto, in the fact that in the first few shows you're always still quite nervous, you're always trying to remember your lines, and you're always trying to remember your steps and bits and pieces. And by the time you get to that last show, you've now done it so often that you're not thinking about it. It's just natural.
Well, I mean, touch wood, it should be that the case. I mean, we've given ourselves enough time to really, we've given ourselves 3 weeks, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in our world, that is a lot of time. I remember doing Giovanni's tour 7-8 years ago or whatever it was, and we put the show up in 4 days. I mean, it was ludicrous. So we've been given 3 weeks. Thank you, producer Paul, for doing that. And we feel like we're ready now. We feel like we're ready to go. We're now cleaning things, like in terms of how much are our fingers extended? Are they there, or are they there, or are they there? So we're really fine tuning it now, and it's just about me getting my script right and moments with the audience. But some of it just, we say in the industry, it just needs an audience now, and that's all we need. So get the bums in the seats and we'll give them a good show.
Well, just to finish off, I can see a football in the background. I was just thinking, if your show finishes at the end of June, beginning of July, it's probably just in time for pre-season. So, like you say, not doing too well up the road at the moment. You might get a game.
Well, they're not doing too well if you go down the M3 that way, if you go west. But if you head east, Aldershot are doing pretty well. And that's where my dad is the manager, and my brother actually plays for them. And they're in the FA. They're in the FA Trophy final on Sunday.
They are.
So fingers crossed. I'll have something to celebrate football-wise. It's not Southampton, and then I can mention it about that, and we'll get the Portsmouth fans in. But it's there's a good little moment regarding the football. So I don't think it's ever been done on stage before. So
there we go.
You're in for a treat.
Kai, thank you so much for talking to me. I really do appreciate it. Kai Widdrington's Kai Evolution is going to be coming to Ferrum Live on Saturday, the 28th of June. I know it's going to be an amazing tour. Kai, thank you so much for talking to me, and enjoy the tour.
Thank you, Paul. Absolute pleasure.